Broadcasting live from the arid mesa on the plain of Zendikar, this is Tap Tap Concede. Welcome everybody to Tap Tap Concede. My name is Graham. Joining me is Nelson.
Hey there.
And Cameron.
Huh?
And today we are talking about Hot Magic Summer. I'm sorry, let me read that again. Wizards Summer of Legend, which was their huge announcement, big old thing that happened just yesterday at time of recording, where they announced a whole bunch of stuff and showed off cool things, and we'll talk about all of that. But first, a reminder that this show is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. Putting the code on there, the /LRR, that lets them know that we sent you. And we do that. We continue to do so because we think they're great. They're a fine bunch of folks, and they have good prices on Magic cards, and they'll ship them anywhere in the world and very quickly. And if you tell them Loading Ready Run sent me, button please, they will give you a little one-inch button, which currently...
Did we run out of snow lands? No problem?
Yes, we are now on to foil lands make foil mana.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
Foil lands. Foil problems. If you think about it, foil lands do foil the problem of your lands not being shiny enough.
And this show is also brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Alrighty. So earlier in the week, Blake Rasmussen, who hosts the weekly MTG show, teased that it was going to be a legendary episode of weekly MTG. And that was that they're doing this thing called the Summer of Legend with a very fancy poster that looks like a very sort of like 1980s kind of throwback, like the poster for like a summer adventure, except there's a dragon, which is kind of fun.
It actually kind of like the font is like from Wet Hot American Summer, isn't it?
I mean, it's definitely that era of font. Yeah, definitely. So the first thing on there, this is all from a official Wizards article, everything that we're going to be talking about. The first thing is actually Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, which is nothing to do with magic. It's kind of funny. It's like, first up, hey, Dark Alliance. It's not about magic. We're not doing any sort of tie-in. I mean, yes, there's going to be a D&D set later in the month, but now we're just going to tell you about Dark Alliance, which is fine. Go right ahead. I am legitimately very excited for Dark Alliance because I have a lot of fond memories of the original game, but this is completely irrelevant to the world of Magic.
It reminds me of a review I read of a video game where they were like, so this came out this month, which reminds us, have you played the Orange Box? God, it's good value. You should just go and I think I'm going to go and do that instead.
Yeah. Announcing Wizards of the Coast, Summer of Legends. Also, Portal 2 is great. If you haven't done Portal 2 yet, get in there.
Yeah. So, okay, sure. Dark Alliance is coming. Thanks for the tip. Modern Horizons 2 is the next set release. Obviously, it's not a standard set because it's Modern Horizons. We will be doing a PPR for it. More information on that closer to the time. But yeah, Modern Horizons 2. If you remember Modern Horizons 1, or just Modern Horizons, though the set code for it was MH1 at the time, so people were like, suspicious.
It's like that episode of Doctor Who where he calls it the First World War.
Yeah.
To the British Army officer who's been taken out of time.
Right. Like the what? Yeah.
What do you mean? Supposed to end all wars. Yeah.
So Modern Horizons was a handful of reprints, or I mean, a bunch of reprints, but a bunch of brand new cards that were all sort of bypassing standard and injecting straight into the modern format. And it felt a lot more like a Time Spiral thing when it came out, because there was like one card with a specific mechanic, that's like, oh yeah, that mechanic. And there was a creature with Hideaway, and there was, like just weird stuff. They were clearly having a lot of fun with it. And I'm very much looking forward to Modern Horizons 2. And this was our first look at any of the cards from it. The first thing, their sort of banner heads up from the set, is that the enemy fetch lands are going to be in Modern Horizons 2 just as rares in the packs. Nothing fancy or special. I mean, there is fancy special stuff later, but they're not mythic. They're not like, maybe you'll get one per 3 booster boxes. They're just rares. So that's great.
Yeah, that's honestly huge. Long time coming.
And this is not a limited print run product either.
Excellent.
Yeah. Outstanding, finally.
Yeah. Good. They showed off a bunch of the packaging, which all looks very cool. The very, very stylized, cool looking art on the collector booster box puts me in mind of the showcase treatment from Ikoria. very like bright colors, sort of graphic, cartoony kind of like a comic book kind of look. So I'll be interested to sort of see where that goes. Just really great uses of bright sort of purples in the box art for all of this.
Can you tell too if that showcase frame looking Ikoria card is like a sliver, or is it some other creature that you recognize?
It looks like a dragon, but it's got eyes on its neck.
Okay, that's like a big beard thing. All right, I thought, yeah. All right.
Oh, I see what you were seeing.
I thought just the dark black purple bit was the head, and then the pointy whiter bit was like more of sliver hands. But
Right.
now I can see it. It's a mouth. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see either one if I want to. It's like that painting of, or that sketch of the young lady and the old lady.
Yeah.
I see marketing potential as a multi-tool.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
It should be mentioned that the art on the set boosters is some sort of very fancy looking squirrel.
He's got a little necklace.
Yeah, he's got a little tooth necklace and like one white eye.
If this is a squirrel with cascade, like this is totally Bloodbraid squirrel.
Looks like it is ready for war.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Okay, bear with me. 1 green, 1 squirrel, cascade.
Get your Mox Opal, I guess.
Yeah.
Wait, that one's banned.
Hit your
now.
ancestrals. Or not your ancestrals.
No.
Your
Ancestral visions.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just play with that, modern players. Seems balanced.
Right. The key art on the rest of the boxes is clearly some sort of fancy updated Dakon Blackblade looking guy. I think that doesn't seem to be the Blackblade. So I think this is just like Dakon before that.
Dakon regular blade.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
This reminds me that the first couple of years Magic was out, I got into a conversation. I even had both these cards in the same deck. And so like I might have done it once, or at least just talked about it, where we were like, well, if you have a Dakon Blackblade in play and you cast Sleight of Hand, can you change it to be like Dakon Blue Blade? And now it has a different name. So you can play a second one, because the legend rule is for each name permanent, like that's legendary. You have to sacrifice them if there's two. But if you play a Dakon Blackblade and they're like, okay, we're going to change that to Dakon Red Blade because it's an instance of a color word. And at the time it was just kind of like, yeah,
that's clever.
That seems like it would work as far as we can tell from our little paper rule book that came in our starter pack.
I love it.
That's honestly pretty clever.
The internet was something that only scientists had at the time.
I like that a lot.
Shoutouts to Shop Talk at Dragon Strike back in 1993.
Oh, wow.
What percentage of game stores were named Dragon Strike in 1993? Because we definitely had like weird. Okay, sorry. It seemed like every other game store was named Dragon Strike.
It's a good name.
Fair.
What was the other one that sold like RPG books?
In Victoria?
Yeah.
Boland's?
No, for a while it was around on Blanchard. Yeah, no, we had Dragon Strike.
Oh, Grand New Universe? We're talking old
New Universe
Victoria history?
New games. Yeah, new games.
GNU. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I remember that place.
New World, yeah.
That one, you got to actually play games at that store.
Yeah, they had a room upstairs.
Dragon Strike, you could hang out. Yeah, for sure.
I played a game of Living Greyhawk up there once.
I bought Warhammer from them.
Sweet.
Nice. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't know. We just fell into the 90s.
Dakon Blackblade on the cover of...
Right.
They also showed off some extended art frames because, of course, everything gets the normal treatments. So the extended arts, they showed off that for the fetch lines as well. And then the showcase frames, it looks like the showcase treatment, this is kind of funny because it's Modern Horizons, but it looks like much like Time Spiral Remastered, the showcase frames for Modern Horizons 2 is the old borders.
Mm-hmm.
They said, with Time Spiral Remastered leading the way, we were confident the retro frame treatment would be a big hit, and they would be correct. And so they have shown off the enemy fetch lands in the old style border, and they look pretty sweet.
I just love this for like causing utter havoc with like, I mean, it's never been about borders, right? But Modern's beginning period was the new border.
Yeah.
Right.
So printing showcase border, Modern Horizon cards with the old border, it's just like this little bit of chaos that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
It's tasteful trolling, isn't it?
Yeah, little tasteful trolling.
The buy a box promo is kind of funny too. So it's also in the old border, and it's a reprint from Conspiracy Take the Crown. So it's in Legacy, but now it's new to Modern. But again, it's only being printed in the old border. It's Sanctum Prelate, which is 1 white for a 2/2 human cleric. As it enters the battlefield, choose a number. Non-creature spells with mana value equal to the chosen number can't be cast.
Yeah, powerful card.
Mm-hmm. What do you hit with this? Like, do you call 1 or 2 or 4?
You're allowed to call 3 too,
3 as well.
right?
Yeah, I mean, like,
You pick any number.
zero's a number as far as Magic is concerned as well, I'm assuming.
It names 5 plenty, I'm sure, in Legacy because Force Will costs 5.
Right. Ooh.
It really just, you'll get better at choosing the number the more you play it in your deck and the more you get to know the modern metagame, and you'll just choose whatever you're most afraid of. It's a 2/2 though, so you're gonna pick 1 a lot so it doesn't get bolted. Or pathed. You're probably picking 1 a lot. 1's a really good casting cost in Modern. I'm a little bit sad about these old borders. They look cool. I like it. I was really excited for the Times Power ones, but now that there's just like right on the heels of Times Power Remastered, just one regular set since Times Power Remastered's been released, we have the old borders coming back. I'm like, oh, that makes the TSR cards a little bit less special, right? Like it was a really big deal to see like the old border getting reused again. So I would have been okay if we waited a bit longer before we're using the old borders again, just to give, I don't know, TSR some more glory.
That's fair.
But they look cool. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So I just remembered what the gimmick was for Modern Horizons was that even cards in Modern Horizons 1 that were reprints were new to Modern.
Yes.
And that is true again here. They say that there's 42 new to Modern reprints, including Counterspell. I can't tell if that was you emulating a cheering audience or sighing deeply.
No, it was like the cheer going up. I don't know. Is a 2-drop playable in Modern? The format's so fast. I don't like if you hold up 2 blue, right? Is the game just over? Yeah, you're just so far behind, right? You could have resolved like at least 3 Urzas with that mana. So, I mean, yes, please, thank you.
Yeah. No, I think for a lot of Modern's history, there actually has been kind of a slow controlling blue-white deck that's been okay or good. So like the last this is a while ago, but the last Modern PPTQ I played, I lost in the quarterfinals playing Storm against blue-white control. So that deck would have loved to have had Counterspell because they definitely were jamming mana leaks and negate.
What's interesting to me is that the image that they showed of the Counterspell with the Modern Horizons 2 set symbol on it, which is at Uncommon if you're interested, is a reprint of the Counterspell from Masters 25. So it has the Magic M watermark to indicate that it's the Masters 25 representative reprint from Alpha.
Yeah, that's neat and weird too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that obviously those watermarks aren't going to be on every card from the set.
Yeah.
There's no big Zendikons or whatever they're called, the big diamonds on the fetch lands.
Yeah. And they showed off a cool borderless version of the Counterspell as well, which also looks neat.
I mean,
and for some reason has a rare symbol.
Now.
Yeah. But it says we even added a cooler borderless version that can appear in the same slot to show off in its format debut. So does that mean it can, if we assume that Counterspell is uncommon and will appear in an uncommon slot in a draft booster, then can this borderless Counterspell appear in an uncommon slot?
No. In the previous paragraph, they explain that I'm not sure if they did this in Modern Horizons 1 or not. Maybe they did, but each pack is going to contain one card that's like the time shifted card where it's a new to modern card slot.
Oh, that's how they're doing it.
So the new to modern card slot sounds like could be common, uncommon, or rare, or mythic, I guess maybe.
Okay.
Or some other purple rarity they're going to tell us about later.
I missed that it was going to be its own slot in the booster. Okay. Now let's talk about this weird thing.
Yes.
The next thing they showed off was Urza's Saga, which is an enchantment land Urza's Saga, the type line. So, okay, Saga is a subtype. We know that. Urza's is also a subtype thanks to the Urzatron lands. And so this is an Urza's enchantment land. It's a land that's also a saga. Okay, look, so you play it, it costs nothing because it's a land. So you play it, and then its first chapter goes off, which is that it gains tap to add 1 colorless. Then the second chapter is it gains 2 and tap to create a 0/0 colorless construct with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And then the third one is because you then sacrifice it because it's still a saga, even though it's a land, is search your library for an artifact card with mana cost 0 or 1, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Sorry, what the hell?
Wasn't expecting shenanigans to get a reprint. Like,
exactly.
This is probably terrible, but it's shenanigans waiting to happen.
Yeah, I can't even yet foresee what kind of judge confusion is going to come with this card, but I feel like it's a very densely packed, program of destruction of my brain that's going to be, getting getting slowly lowered onto me while I suffocate.
Is this good? Is this bad? I don't know. Like, I assume that was the conversation they had while making it. We're like, hey, you know what we could do? We could do this. Can we do this? Well, I don't know. But can we? Who's going to stop us? Let's try it. Oh, okay. Is this good? I don't know. Is it bad? I don't know.
I'll tell you what, it's definitely good in Commander because you just have to wait 2 turns and it turns into Soul Ring. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely good in Commander. And then also, I think, it's 0 mana enchantment. Like, do we even have any of those yet? Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head. So that seems like a big deal.
Do you think this is good in a Constellation Enchantress deck?
Yeah.
Like outside
Probably.
of modern pattern rector why?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Like 95% chance this gets like Windmill Slam banned in like 2 weeks?
Yeah, maybe.
Or is like a penny rare? I don't know. I cannot. The future is cloudy to me.
Yeah, the forecast for what's going to happen with this card is a little bit difficult to put together. We're still working on it, right?
Like somebody spoke this card into existence and now the future is in chaos.
It does seem like someone lost a bet at R&D and now this card exists.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like the reverse of Skull Clamp where they're like, okay, we got this card. It's pretty good, but not great. And then just before they're saying it's like, wait, no, it's too good. We need to shrink the toughness on the creature.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just then it's like hurriedly put it away. And instead it's like at the beginning of last year or whatever, like, okay, you need to make a saga that's also a land. And then so then it's just like through all the committees and hopefully like, I mean, I suspect, lots of people at R&D are like, okay, we got to make sure that this card isn't busted.
But it could be.
And
I don't know.
they might have succeeded. Yeah, it might not be busted.
Combos with Deprive and Enchantress? I don't even...
Right? Sure.
Like...
This is wild. I do love that it's named Urza's Saga and its type line is Urza's Saga. And also was there not also a set called Urza's Saga?
Yeah, there was. Sure was.
One of the nuttiest, most busted sets in the history of Magic.
Fact or Fiction? Or no, Show and Tell.
Yeah, like Tolarian Academy, lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Check it out. Urza's Saga is a hell of a set.
Couldn't cram Artifact anywhere on the type line, huh?
No, but it does like make 2 artifacts, so it secretly is also an artifact. And it's a planeswalker because Urza, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, clearly.
But it's not Urza. It doesn't have the subtype Urza. It has the subtype Urzas.
Yeah, which already appears on... Is it only 3 other cards? So Urza's subtype, has it been added to the Urza lands?
Yeah, I think it's just the lands, even though, like it should be on like Urza's glasses or whatever.
Or maybe it's on Urza's factory. I'm so curious now.
I'm looking it up now. There's lots of things that are called Urzas, and frankly, I think that they should all have that, but it's on factory and the Tron land, so mine... power plant and tower and the factory, but that's it.
Like somebody expedition maps for this and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw a deck list posted immediately on Twitter. I can't remember the player, but it wasn't someone I was following. Just a lot of people liked it. That like they're very much looking forward to playing this in a deck with Urza's lands and Karn that can go get things out of your sideboard and like a bunch of things that move charge counters around so that you get to cycle through getting them quickly or like get the creatures out quickly and just a lot of cheap artifacts so that the creatures are big. And I think the plan is just make these constructs all the time and make them real big real fast. So yeah, maybe this is like a wild like Tarmogoyf.
This is just like, you've got Counterspell in hand, you've left 2 blue up, and your opponent flops an Urza's Saga, and you're like screaming inside.
It's pretty funny that they're previewed so close to each other. It's like, don't worry, we made sure the Counterspell, while everyone's been looking forward to it in Modern for so long, is entirely unplayable.
Yeah, it's like when they unbanned Jace the Mind Sculptor, and it had 0 effect.
Right. Yeah. Next up, they're going to give us like a better Burst Lightning called like Urza's Even More Mad, and it's like 1 red uncounterable shock, and then there's like a kicker, but then it'll deal 5.
Is unbanning Counterspell in Modern just like, the end of the Best of Both Worlds Part 1 with Riker saying, Mr. Worf, fire. And just nothing happens, right? Like the particle beam just glances harmlessly off the Borg shields.
Tune in this summer to find out.
They also showed off a different other frame treatment, which is the sketch frame. So the actual like magic frame has been like sort of like a hand-drawn sketch rendering, and then the art on them is going to be like the artist's preliminary sketches, and apparently the flavor text for some cards that have flavor text, obviously this doesn't, will be like lines from the art description, which is kind of interesting. I think that's neat.
It's so weird how less is more. Like, we do a Friday nights episode where instead of lots of things happening, it just follows around this side character that works in the comic book shop, like Magic Card store, and we just show off what his day is like. And like, that was a perfectly good episode, I thought.
Yeah.
And here we just like, just don't give us all the art, just give us some of it. Just give us the background sketches. Just give us the scraps of paper that led you to make the art. And we'll put that on a card. Let everyone see that.
Make it look like butt.
Yeah. Give us only half the product. We love it, right? Like, we want to see like behind the scenes footage. We want to hear like commentary, just people talking over what, the actual product of the movie or whatever, right? Yeah, it's fascinating.
I think it was an interview with MGMT, the band.
Yeah.
Who were talking about their debut album that sounded like really like grungy and distorted, and like it sounded like it had been run through a decades old tape deck or whatever. And they said that they finished it and they recorded it and it sounded good, but it wasn't quite there. And then this producer came in and basically made everything sound like crap. And they were like, yeah, he came in and just made it all sound just terrible. It's great. Like, it was so funny to read that dichotomy.
Yeah, I mean, like, clearly there's less going on in this art, right? It's just like a worse version of the one we just looked at a second ago.
Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to sell for twice as much, right?
Strictly better, actually. I love it too.
Yeah. So then, moving on to the next standard set, which actually, sorry, brief rewind to the counterspell. I saw this pop up on Twitter, which was when they showed the slide from the stream where they debuted all this. They showed the counterspell and the borderless counterspell, and to delineate them, they were captioned. And so under the borderless one, it said borderless, and under the normal one, it said standard, because it's the standard version. And someone, I don't know who it was, but someone retweeted it, was like, you can't just put a picture of counterspell and say standard. Like, you're going to give someone a heart attack. You can't do that.
Yeah, I need to double down on my blood pressure medicine for a second there, right?
Yeah.
Just like start gnawing on a fist.
Yeah. So the actual next set that will be in standard is Dungeons and Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. This is something people have theorized for years. I mean, obviously we've known this has been coming for some months now, but just sort of to take a step back, it's like, oh, could you do like a Dungeons and Dragons magic set? And I don't know, I've always thought it'd be a pretty cool idea, but for some reason they just never did it, and some people weren't into the idea. I don't know. From what little they've shown off here, I'm on board. I'm very excited about it, frankly. The first big thing that jumps out is they showed off a selection of basic lands, and there's all this space on basic lands, and sometimes they fill it with art. But in this one, they've added flavor text to basic lands for, I think, the first time, or at least the first time that I can recall. And it's basically like, it's like the dungeon master is talking to you, right? Like the mountain, it's a basic mountain. And then it says, as you make camp near the ancient ruins, you hear the sound of drums echoing in halls where no dwarf has lived in generations. And it's sort of like,
there's XP in those halls.
Yeah.
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 Sure. Ooh, I hear a plot device.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I like these a lot. This is kind of like the feels that the rest of the world will get outside of the 2% of people that really want those full text lands. Right? It's kind of neat. Like, that secret layer came out, and plenty of us, I'm sure, were just like, no, why are you like this? No.
Oh, someone on Twitter told me the next level to do with those full text lands, which is you sleeve them upside down in case your opponent needs to read them.
Oh, the Adrian Sullivan or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then someone can walk behind your game, and you're like flicking a few cards, including some of these, and they're upside down, and then they just like have to like
tilt their
turn
head
away. Yeah, they just have to turn away and like then go sit down and meditate for a while until they feel better. They have to go to their happy place after seeing that. But yeah, I think these are sweet.
And they showed off a couple of the cards from the set, which I'm like, this is why it's like, oh, this all just works. This all just makes perfect sense. For example, Portable Hole. Single white mana, artifact. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until Portable Hole leaves the battlefield.
That's a banger of a card, too.
Yeah, it's a really good card, but also Portable Hole is a really cool spell.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. They really did it justice.
Power word kill, right? 1 and a black for an instant. Destroy target non-angel, non-demon, non-devil, non-dragon creature.
Can't hit outsiders.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I would not have expected Power Word Kill to be a 2-mana spell, right? It's 9th level.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, I mean, this is the difference between the scales.
I
Right.
think they wanted people to play it, right? So there's some concessions probably where it's like, okay, we want to make playable D&D cards of card spells people love from D&D. And then the other thing is like, this doesn't hit planeswalkers, so the power level in Magic needs to come down a bit.
Also, shouldn't this have a colon? Power word colon kill?
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I don't think they do colons they don't do a lot of punctuation in card names, at least
It's
outside.
Jace, comma, the Mind Sculptor, right?
Right, commas are common, but like,
Yeah.
I wonder if colon has a specific like meaning inside the rules text of Magic the Gathering, right? Like,
It's an activated ability, so maybe for that
Yeah.
reason it's confusing to put it in the title.
maybe.
Oh.
I would buy that.
Okay, Morrow, if you're listening and you haven't already got this note in your file, let's get some activated abilities inside titles of the next silver bordered set.
No.
I want to tap this spell while I'm casting it, like while I'm announcing what card it is.
Dear God.
Tapped on the stack.
The one other non-mythic they showed was Prosperous Innkeeper, because of course there's the inn. It's a 1/1 halfling citizen for 1 and a green. We've seen citizens before, or at least citizen tokens. I don't know if we've seen citizen cards, but halfling is new.
Yay, halflings are here.
Yeah.
I hope we get gnomes too.
And it says when Prosperous Innkeeper enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life because it come to the inn. That's great.
This is a pretty sweet card too. This is a lot better than that goblin that just makes a treasure when it shows up.
Yeah.
Usually, yeah, there's one other, there's a time shifted from planar chaos Soul Warden card that's green, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like an elf, but then they haven't given green this ability since then, I don't think. So kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool card.
And then they did show off Tiamat because, as they point out, it's like, look, you got Dungeons and Dragons, and dragons have been in Magic for a long time. You're going to see dragons. You'll see, we're going to show off the range of colors because there's all sorts of different colors of dragons in D&D. And they say you'll have to wait to see how we've handled dungeons. So I'm curious to see how that comes up because, frankly, I hadn't considered it, right? I was just like, oh, you're doing a D&D thing, so you'll have lots of D&D stuff in there. But apparently they were like, no, we have to have both literally Dungeons and Dragons. So, and they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't see like, you'll have to wait and see how we handle dungeons unless they were doing something fancy with dungeons.
I'm just really looking forward to see all the like sorceries, lands, artifacts, whatever card types they choose to handle. Like, okay, so you get together at the inn. You're there in the tavern, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the 4 of you are in the tavern. I'm just looking forward to all of however many of those cards there are. Hopefully like a green draw card sorcery. Yeah.
I would assume a dungeon is going to look a lot like Urza's saga. It's going to be a saga land.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That would be my bet, right? Like, only instead of having verses, it has levels.
Neat. Yeah. I mean, my instinct is to imagine that it'll be some sort of thing. It'll be like a card you put mana into, obviously in a card in your deck, and then you cast it. And then you get something beneficial right away. And then your opponent can maybe take it away if they like jump through the hoops. Sort of like a planeswalker, but different.
The thing that makes me excited about Tiamat is actually the last word on the byline. God, right? The realms have just a whole passel of gods. And if we get one that I'm particularly interested in, I'm in. If they have Ilmater, I'm down.
I should say what Tiamat actually says on the card.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
2 generic mana, white, blue, black, red, green, because of course Tiamat has 5 heads, so is all 5 colors. Legendary creature, dragon god, as you mentioned, 7/7 with flying. When Tiamat enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragons not named Tiamat that each have different names. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Dragon Commander, Dragon Mander.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the place for Tiamat, and I'm not sure that there will be another place. It's not a particularly good hit off of Dragonstorm, and it's pretty hard to cast.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful, though. I mean, it's 7/7 flying for 7 that has an ETB.
Now, I think, did we call this? I feel like if I think back to a previous episode of Tap Tap, and I don't know, maybe James remembers if he wants to let us know, but I recall us suggesting that a showcase idea for the D&D set would be to make it look like the old books, and that's what they're doing.
That's awesome. Good for you. We might have talked about how there's spell cards already for D&D. I can remember talking about that maybe.
I don't know. I think it was as soon as they announced the set, but they showed off not the rules text or the stat lines or anything, just the art, because they didn't want to spoil anything for Baleful Beholder, and it looks like a sketch from an old copy of the DMG or the Monster Manual, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
They're calling it the classic rulebook frame treatment. I hope that there's like a mystical archive style thing where you get like a classic rulebook thing in each pack. That would be fun. Like a old school D&D rulebook take on like existing Magic creatures.
Yeah, like maybe especially the ones that would make good adventuring parties or are kind of already classic D&D encounters.
Yeah.
Like a werebear with a sketch. That'd be so cool,
That'd
right?
be so good.
Or like maybe just give us, Baneslayer Angel or Sengir Vampire in sketches. That'd be cool.
And there are also going to be 4 new commander decks from the D&D world. So there's more stuff even still. So there's not just the set, but there's also 4 commander decks, which they've named, but it doesn't mean anything. It's Aura of Courage, Dungeons of Death, Draconic Rage, and Planar Portal. And then the other thing they showed off from the set is a equipment, the Vorpal Sword. And they showed it off in regular regular, extended, and buy a box promotional card, because it's the buy a box promo. Good old Vorpal Sword, single black mana for an equipment. The equipped creature gets +2/+0 and Death Touch, and it equips for black, and also for 5 black. So for 8 mana, until end of turn, Vorpal Sword gains whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. That player loses the game.
Nice. We're a fan of this card.
Yeah.
Impressive way to paint a target on yourself.
Mm-hmm. What if you just want it for this, like, no, please, I just want it for the efficient mana cost of...
I would call you a liar.
Yeah, exactly.
I would call you a liar.
I just want to give my creature +2/+0 and Death Touch for only 1 more cast and 2 to equip.
Lies.
I mean, this is kind of a bad bone splitter. You have to pay an extra mana for equip.
Yeah.
But you get Death Touch, so that's something.
I mean, ideally, you kill them before you even get to 8 mana, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish they had given us like a callback on that activated ability where it could be 1 cheaper but costs 4 black and 3, so that the activation cost is the same as the casting cost for Phage the Untouchable. That would have been hip, right?
That would have been really cool, actually, yeah. They mentioned that there's going to be some Forgotten Realms secret lair stuff, and then big news for those living in the US, which I guess probably extends to Canada, but I don't know, is that they are reopening sanctioned Magic play for your local game stores on May 28th. Speaking for ourselves, that's not going to play well.
It's not going to happen
here.
Yeah.
But there are places in the US that would be able to do that, and that's awesome for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go get vaccinated if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
If you live in the States. They're waiting for you now.
Yeah.
Go get vaccinated because we can't.
Yeah, exactly. Go get finished with the vaccine so we can buy some, please. But yeah, this failed patch also looks sweet.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a new FNM promo, which is a fabled passage in the old border. So that's very cool.
It's not exactly an FNM promo. It's like a buy a box, but all you have to do is spend $50 in your store on sealed product.
That's so cool.
So it's like buy half a box, but I'm sure they're just going to leave this up to the store owners, but the instruction will be give these people who spend money. So probably if it's like you buy, just to talk to your store owner, they'll want you to spend $50 or more in sealed product, which you want to do anyway, right?
They say as more opportunities to play arrive, we will have 5 more foil retro frame promotional cards available through in-store play. You'll have to wait and see which fan favorite cards will be available.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And they said later this year, we'll be sharing a highly limited amount of Mystery Booster Convention Edition with Wizards Play Network stores.
Again, with the less is more. Look, these cards didn't even make it to being cards. They're just ideas we had for cards that we could never settle on turning into real cards.
Yeah.
And we're sticking those in the pack and everyone loves them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really hope we get to YJ Draft Mystery Booster then. Or, FNPF Draft Mystery Booster packs.
I definitely did not Mystery Booster enough. Like, I did a lot at PAX East, and in retrospect, was still not enough. Not only because it turns out that stupid, the Sliv Drazi whatever is worth $500 or something stupid.
That's wild. But also just because it was a really fun format, right?
Also, it was just a blast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was just super, super fun.
have yet to open a pack of this set or play in an event, so I'm really hoping I get to.
Yeah. Rewinding slightly, because there's actually a couple things that I missed because they weren't in that article that I wanted to talk about. They showed off a couple more cards from Modern Horizons 2. And this is what I mean when it's like it's such a future sight kind of set where there's a lot of like playing around with the notion of just like magic in jokes, for example. So there's a card called Diamond Lion, which is a 2-mana 2/2 artifact cat, and you can tap and discard your hand and sacrifice Diamond Lion to add 3 mana of any one color. But you can only activate it as an instant. So it's Lion's Eye Diamond, but as a creature. Or the artifact that sent Ben Wheeler's head spinning, it's Brainstone, which is a rock that brainstorms. It's not like a mana rock, but it's single mana artifact, and for 2 and tap and sack Brainstone, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order.
This is your brain on eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike most of the other eggs where you tend to usually only be down 1 mana to get the draw effect, this one you're down 3 mana, but still pretty exciting. Especially you get to see 3 deep. So if you're playing any kind of egg combo strategy, I'm sure this is going to be an include, and we're going to have to definitely try it out to figure out how powerful it is to be able to recur brainstorms on an artifact and whether it's worth the mana cost. But there's a lot of conversation about this one going on right now. Modern players aren't sure that it's actually good enough to play, or some are. There's an interesting conversation happening in MTG Twitter.
2 interesting notes actually about the artists for these cards. One, Diamond Lion, is drawn by Howard Lyon, and I don't know if that was intentional, but I just think it's kind of funny. But the Brainstone is new art from Drew Tucker.
Whoa, I didn't catch that. That's awesome.
Who hasn't done magic art in, God, I'm looking at Scryfall, like since Shadowmoor, maybe? Like Deathbringer Liege and Shadowmoor looks like the oldest one, or the most recent one, but like most of Drew Tucker's stuff. Yeah, Shadowmoor and Eventide, but most of Drew Tucker's stuff is from even earlier, and like really painterly watercolor kind of stuff.
Yeah, really noticeably different watercolor painter on the 90s cards a lot, right?
Neckrite, Flare, Power Leak.
Yeah.
Oh, City in a Bottle.
Right.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah, this is very exciting.
Yeah.
That's neat that they...
What was the one? There's a Drew Tucker card I played a ton where it's like Dwarven Warriors could give this black creature unblockable. It's like 3 generic and a black for a 2/2. I'll say Merc Dwellers. It was like, and then when they attacked and they're not blocked, they get +2/+0.
Oh, Ication Infantry, Clockwork Beast. Yes. More.
Yeah, Nelson, Merc Dwellers. 3 and a black for a 2/2. If Merc Dwellers attacks and isn't blocked, it gets +2/+0.
Yeah, I like this painting.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's neat that, looking back, I remember kind of gently agreeing or kind of nodding if my friends, like people I was playing with, are like, well, this is the worst magic artist, right? Because like as a kid, I think one of the main things you struggle with, definitely if you're starting out in art, probably like as a young child, is like trying just to get a sense of realism, like a strong ability to draw realistic shapes, and then like, oh, there's someone who made it onto magic cards that didn't even need to do that. But actually several of them, it's like, it's so interesting how the shapes are close enough in these watercolors to the shapes in real life, and yet also not, because there's just a big wash of color behind it as a background.
Yeah.
Art thoughts.
Fair. So that's neat. So that was, I believe, the totality of the stuff they announced. There's some events happening on Arena. There's like the standard sort of like, hey, the set's come out, so we're doing things with it, like the Strixhaven College Cup. By the time you're hearing this episode, the Arena Open will have happened.
Hopefully everyone on the podcast is way richer.
Yeah, hopefully we all at least made day 2, but we'll see how that goes. Let me tell you, I'm not gonna just go on a rant, but I've been having a lot of trouble with Sealed in this format, just getting absolutely dumpstered.
Yeah, no, I've been on a real cool streak with nothing good happening to me in Strixhaven.
Have you been finding it, Nelson?
Like hot and cold. I don't know. I've only done a few sealeds. I did a lot of drafts after the set came out in Arena, so I've probably done like 6 or 7 sealeds total, because I did a few sealeds right at the release. And I don't think I have a 7 win, but I think I have several 4s. I don't know. Like, it just hasn't seemed like I've been getting totally crushed. I'm impressed when my opponent can go fast in sealed. I'll say that. So if you've played the open, or you're gonna be playing sealed in Strixhaven in the future, if you have the option to have an aggro deck, I would definitely consider it. How about you? What sort of things have usually been beating you?
Just bombs and removal.
Just everything?
Like,
Okay,
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, it's like, all right, I've put together what I feel is a very good deck with powerful cards that synergize well together and do stuff. And then I just lose. Like, it's not like I can't like pinpoint a single thing. And it's not like I'm not drawing lands, like you still lose games to not drawing lands or flooding out or whatever. That's just Magic, but it's like, you're like, all right, going to start doing my things. I'm interacting with their stuff. I'm doing removal. And then they're like, they just pop off, and it's not even about the Mystical Archive stuff. Like those are fine. And occasionally your opponent will, Mizzix's mastery you out of the game. And it's like, yeah, well, okay, that's how that goes. But no, I'm just losing normal games of Magic to decks that are, I guess, just way better than mine.
I would point to my opponent's insurmountable card advantage.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but like my opponent's hand size just doesn't go down. I think it's all the lessons. Could be anything in there.
I have a deck in the queue right now that has 0 lessons for the first time, and like the sealed pool could have been either Prismari or Witherbloom. Those seemed like the 2 ways to go, just for like the gold cards we had or whatnot. And so I started off with the Witherbloom deck, and I went 1-1, but it just seemed like I didn't have enough finishing power. Like my deck could survive and get into the mid game and like do some tricks or whatever, but then if my opponent played a dragon or something, I was probably toast. Whereas the Prismari deck had like 6 or 7 cards that cost more than 6 that were like the good ones, like Snow Day and Creative Outbursts. Like that's 2 Creative Outbursts and at least 1 Elemental Mastery. And yeah, that deck had 0 lessons, but it just was able to kind of like make land drops, get a little bit of card advantage, play normal Magic. And it was weird because it felt like, oh, this used to be all the drafts. You didn't always have like little tiny demonic tutors stapled to every 3rd card in your deck before Strixhaven, and it was okay. So yeah, I guess weirdly the thing I learned this week in Sealed was, hey, be willing to think outside the box and not stuff every single learn card into your deck.
James points out there's one other thing on Arena that we should mention, which is in July, it says here, in July, we are running a short but exciting event called Mirror Mirror. Imagine a world where Oko, Thief of Crowns, was printed with balanced abilities and became just another great historic card. What if Teferi Time Raveler was printed where he was more of a friend than foe to the format? In Mirror Mirror, you'll explore this universe of decks featuring rebalanced versions of some of Historic's iconic banned cards.
Sorry, just before that, they also mentioned that Jumpstart's coming back on June 4th, so that's really exciting too. Yeah, you could finally get to play Jumpstart. Yeah.
Very excited about that. Yeah.
But let's go back to this Mirror Mirror. Like, this is some funny stuff. There's a few things I want to kind of poke fun at. One, it's just like, hey, remember all those busted cards we have to ban? Like, let's talk about that some more.
Yeah.
Let's try to get something out of that event. And the other thing that's going on is it's like, hey, all those other card games where they just that are digital only and they just change what the cards do every month if something's busted? Mm-hmm. What if Magic was one of those games? And fair enough. Like, yeah, that seems like important design space for Arena that you should like. I'm glad the developers are giving us this chance to find out if people want that kind of play experience. So I'll probably check out Mirror Mirror. Hopefully it's running at least a week. Like sometimes these events on Arena only last like 24 hours or something. It's like the player base, I assume, like I know for me, I can't be the only one who's like, I don't actually get to play every day. Like there's days that are just too busy. So usually within a week, I'll definitely open up Arena. So I hope they do it for at least a week.
Yeah. I think that'll be interesting to check out, certainly. So that's all the stuff. So many things.
There's a huge article.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I can see why Blake was hyping it up.
Yeah, at least a year's worth of releases happening next 3 months.
Generally speaking, I'm very excited for it. Next week, it's going to be the nicknames episode. So Woot. Get your nicknames in. Go to lrr.cc/nicknames to get in your Strixhaven nicknames. You'll notice that we're not doing the Mystical Archives because those are all reprinted. But if you want to get your nicknames in, or not even suggest any, if you just want to upvote ones that are there, that will help us make the final selection of the top most voted ones, which we will share with you on next week's episode of the show, where we will also do the same thing we always do, which is remind you that the show is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Please go to cardkingdom.com/LRR. And of course, by you and your support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Maybe it was a clunky segue, but it got there in the end.
I appreciated it.
Thank you.
Yeah, go and check out cardkingdom.com for all your reprint counterspells.
Yeah, there you go.
And hey, maybe you can do better segues. And if so, I recommend becoming one of our patrons at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. And if you send us an email or something, drop us a line and you mention that you're a patron, there's a slightly higher chance we'll read it, right? Because we couldn't do this without people like those people, like you. Now I'm talking to the people who are already patrons. Just because we had a smooth segue, we need to then put it through the cheese grinder and make sure it's actually terrible. But thank you so much for doing what you do, keeping the lights on here and letting us continue to produce these terrible segues.
Through the cheese grinder. Love it. That's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, I have been Graham, joined by Nelson.
Hi.
And Cameron.
Huh?
Jordan edits these. James runs the card reader. Heather gets them online. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.